Hello, my name is Janusz. I'm a gravel race organizer, a formal gravel racer, and I also worked for Scott in the gravel sector a few years ago. And one of my events takes place here in the desert of Garafe called Utopia. It's simply an utopic place, and I'm going to show you now what gravel means for myself. I'm German. I lived the last 15 years in France, Switzerland, now most of the time in Spain or sometimes in my van. I lived my whole professional life. I worked in cycling. I cycled since I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the many Germans who started cycling because of Jan Ullrich. Now for 10 years I already ride gravel. I started in 2014 when it was very small. At the beginning it was just a bike to get to work, and then it was a bike to go bikepacking. I started bikepacking in 2016, crossed a big part of Latin America. I fell in love with the way of exploring the world on a gravel bike, and this doesn't matter if it's on a 3-4 month trip or if it's on an evening ride. You know, if it's just your area or a whole country or a whole continent. I have an amazing mountain bike at home, I have an amazing road bike at home, but honestly, I almost don't touch them because I simply love gravel. I worked in gravel for a big bike brand, for Scott, for many years. Then I raced the Gravel World Championships, and now I organize gravel events, which means my life is a lot about gravel. For me, gravel, for me personally, it's the best cycling discipline because it combines the fun of road cycling and the fun of mountain biking, and it's simply the best way to explore a place. Therefore, gravel is for me the best thing because it's more than riding a bike, it's more like exploring. I definitely have some very nice memories. I mean, I have also a lot of suffering memories. Definitely a race which was perfectly made for me was probably Transcordilleras in Colombia. 8 stages, very tough. And I think for me the longer the better. Like, people are getting more beaten up. And I wouldn't say I get stronger and stronger, but probably my performance from day to day stays more or less the same. And then just like, I mean, you're racing there, cows are crossing the road and this and that. It can be a bit dangerous, but it's definitely an adventure. But I'm not a guy who really likes to train like a program. I never had a trainer, never following a program. Honestly, I'm more at the point where I feel like I want to explore this or do that. Like last year, for example, with Jordan Schleck, I went on Mount Kenya on 5,000 meters with the gravel bike and one day go and return. That was very extreme, but yeah, stuff like this I like. It's now around 2 years that I started organizing events. It was at a time where I feel like I needed a bit of a change, and yeah, at the moment I'm organizing 3 events. Octopus Gravel in Switzerland, Utopia Gravel here in the south of Spain.
2 days to go.
And then soon the first edition of Sahara Gravel. They're very different events, but also they have in common that like the whole target, adventure people who not just want to come for the race part, but also the things around, good food, interacting, perhaps having a beer or two, and people who like to travel for the sport to another place.
Let's do some last scouting. Here, for example, I think people will really look forward to that sign. Even perhaps also said that the ride is coming to an end. Doesn't look like the hottest day, but just to be safe, also we have some signs to remind people when they go in the desert. Fill up the bottles. 10 k's to go. Pain is temporary, glory is forever.
One thing is what you definitely have in gravel, because it's so young, the whole segment, is that we have some of the best athletes in the world. Like, I mean, you had a Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert racing the Gravel World Championships. And then you have people like me who are decent racers, but we cannot compete to those guys. And then you have even people who, for them, it's like a huge thing, finishing 160-kilometer ride, you know? The professionals are way more approachable. I mean, you race next to them, you finish with them, you're in the same food corner afterwards. I did the same event. I finished 3-4 hours later, but I did the same, you know? And I think this is very cool. But I feel like in gravel, it's still like that people are a bit more closer perhaps to nature, to the community than in this typical road racing. Found this place in Switzerland which is so famous for road cycling, but no one really rode those gravel passes, and I realized there are actually so many from going away from one place that I thought, wow, that would be so amazing to have an event here and trying to ride in one day all the 7 gravel passes from this town. We will have now already 800 people taking part at the Swiss event, which will take place the 3rd time now this summer. And then we are here in beautiful Andalusia for my other event. Utopia will be the 2nd edition, and yeah, it's very different to the event in Switzerland, but it's also a gravel paradise. With my events I wanted to target people who like to race, but more about the adventure, the person who like this connecting with other people, have a beer in the evening together, like it if there's also a bit of a side program and it's not just stiff on performance.
Yeah, we're going now to a place to check if everything is fine, like if the road is still in good condition, and yeah, put up some signs. People are from the area, they already know that soon there's an event happening, and yeah, enjoy the desert. Yeah, we put up some signs at certain points just to remind the participants to be careful. I mean, one thing what you never want, that someone has a bad crash, therefore yeah, you never know how much it helps, but better be safe than sorry. And yeah, at certain points we do this. One of them is here, and let's hope everyone rides down safe. The trophies we are doing here, it's kind of interesting. It's like from the mud of the area. It gets pressed in those machines, and it gets built by those people here. And the good thing is it's a trophy which, I mean, you can show on the podium, but you can also use for foods or whatever at home. Therefore, it also has a second life in there.
There are countries I want to cross and travel to by bike. I will have soon my 3rd event in Morocco, 4-stage race there, exploring more of those areas. At the end I think the events I would like to do the most sounds a bit stupid, but actually are my events, because I created events as I would like to see an event.
One thing what I like is simply trying to find nice trails next to the piste, you know, just seeing it kind of like a playground. At the end, the gravel bike is a thing to explore the world, and actually the coolest thing to explore the world.